This is ShadowQuant, Crypto Edition, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Thursday, May 28, 2026, and this is the New York session. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with the grades. Pulse, you were wrong again. Bitcoin went up, not down.
I called bearish, but the market didn't listen. I'm shifting focus to the macro. The U.S.-Israel tensions and the CBDC bill in the Senate could change things.
Grid, you also missed it. Bitcoin was up 0.19% on your call.
I'm adjusting. I was too focused on the technicals. The sentiment is shifting and I need to factor that in.
CIPHER, your call was off too.
I overemphasized the flow data. I need to check the broader context.
SPECTER, no call this time.
I'm watching the VIX. It's not panicking yet. I'll wait for more evidence.
Apex, you were wrong again.
I'll rethink the sentiment. I over-relied on the fear and greed index. I need to balance it with on-chain data.
The crypto market is under pressure. Bitcoin is down 1.31% at $73,370, and the fear and greed index is at 14/100 extreme fear. The VIX is at 17.1, up 0.42, but still in its 5-day range. Let's break it down. Let's start with the headlines. The U.S. Senate CBDC ban is a major event. SPECTER, what's the risk here?
The CBDC ban could be a long-term bullish signal. If the Senate moves to ban CBDC, it could signal regulatory clarity and reduce uncertainty in the market.
Pulse, how does this fit with the sentiment?
The sentiment is already at extreme fear, so the CBDC ban might not have much of an impact. The market is already priced in the worst-case scenario.
CIPHER, what about the flows?
The 24-hour volume is at $103.8 billion, which suggests that the market is still liquid. Institutional demand for Bitcoin futures is at 2024 lows, though that could be a warning sign.
Let's talk about Bitcoin. Grid, what's the technical setup?
Bitcoin is at $73,370, down 1.31% on 24-hour volume of $103.8 billion. The key support is at $72,000 and the resistance is at $73,500. If it breaks below $72,000, that could be a big move.
CIPHER, what about the flows?
The 24-hour volume is still high, which suggests that the market is still active. But the futures demand is down, which could indicate a shift in sentiment.
SPECTER, do you see any risk in this?
I'm watching the VIX. It's not panicking, so the market might not be as bad as it looks. But if the fear continues, the VIX could spike, and that could trigger more selling.
Let's move to XLM. Pulse, how does the sentiment look here?
XLM is up 28.64% on a decentralized finance protocol launch. That's a strong indicator of retail interest. The sentiment is positive, which is a contrast to the rest of the market.
CIPHER, what about the flows?
The surge in XLM is due to a decentralized finance launch, which is a positive event, but I'm not sure if it's sustainable. The 24-hour volume is up, but it's still low compared to the big coins.
Let's check Ethereum. Grid, what's the technical setup?
Ethereum is at $2,003.80, down 0.97% on 24-hour volume of $10.7 billion. The key support is at $1,970.91, and the resistance is at $2,025.75. If it breaks below $1,970.91, that could be a big move.
Pulse, what about the sentiment?
The sentiment is still negative, but not as bad as Bitcoin. The market is still looking for a bottom.
Let's move to BCH. CIPHER, what's the flow here?
BCH is down 11.72% after a short-term rally. The profit-taking is a sign that the market is still cautious.
SPECTER, do you see any risk in this?
The drop in BCH is a sign that the market is still under pressure. If the fear continues, we could see more of this.
Let's talk about the broader market. Pulse, how does the sentiment look?
The sentiment is still at extreme fear, but it's not as bad as it was a week ago. The market is still cautious, but not panicking.
Grid, what about the technicals?
The SPY is at 434.21, down 0.71%. The key support is at 430 and the resistance is at 435. If it breaks below 430, that could be a big move.
CIPHER, what about the flows?
The 24-hour volume is still high, which suggests that the market is still active, but the sentiment is still negative, which could weigh on the market.
SPECTER, do you see any risk in this?
I'm watching the VIX. It's not panicking, so the market might not be as bad as it looks. But if the fear continues, the VIX could spike, and that could trigger more selling.
SPECTER, you pushed back on Grid read on Bitcoin. Let's dig into that.
Grid said that the key support is at $72,000, but I'm not sure. The VIX is still in a range, so the market might not be as bad as it looks.
I'm not saying it's a reversal, but the $72,000 level is a key support. If it breaks, that could be a big move.
I'm not dismissing the support, but I'm also not seeing the panic in the VIX. If the VIX doesn't spike, the market might not be as bad as it looks.
I'm watching the 24-hour volume. If it continues to stay high, that could be a sign that the market is still active.
That's a good point. The volume is still there, which means that the market is still liquid.
But if the fear continues, the volume could drop, and that could trigger more selling.
I'm not sure. The sentiment is still negative, but the volume is still high. That could mean that the market is still active.
That's a fair point.
My 24-hour call. Bitcoin bearish. Target $72,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $72,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $72,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $72,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $72,000 by next session.
The market is still under pressure, but there are signs of resilience. Bitcoin is at $73,370, down 1.31%, but the volume is still high. The Fear and Greed Index is at 14/100, extreme fear, but the VIX is still in a range. Watch for a retest of $72,000 in Bitcoin. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Crypto Edition. Stay tuned for the after-hours session where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.